Alright guys, Michael Jacobzak here, and coming up in today's video, we're diving into May's numbers for the real estate market. Let's analyze and let's talk about it coming up next. Alright guys, Michael Jacobzak here, and as I said, we're diving into May's numbers, market recap here, and to me, I'm excited to finally talk about May's numbers because it's, the first time. If you've been following the market, obviously the media likes to talk about year-over-year basis, but to me, May is finally the first month that you can actually make that comparison, because last year this is when foreign buyers tax was coming in, and since the new reality of the new market has finally, to me, it makes sense now to talk about comparisons with this year and last year. So exciting to talk about it. The bad news, of course, is the numbers are much lower than I thought were going to happen, but nonetheless, let's talk about it. So let's dive into the numbers here. Sales hit 7,834, and like I said, from last year, we're down. Like I said, last year we hit 10,066, which is a decrease in 22%. Active listings is up from last year. We hit, right now we're at 20,919. And like I said, last year we were lower, 18,000. So supply is going up, which is good because there's a lack of inventory, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Months of inventory jumped up from 1.8 to 2.7. Still a seller's market. It's a weakening seller's market, and definitely on, we go higher up in the detached and more expensive properties, it's definitely going to be probably seeing about 5, 6, and definitely on the balance, more so even buyer's market. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Average price virtually the same as last month at $805,000, although it was higher, slightly higher, down from last year from $862,000, which is around 6.6%. Days on market is up from last year, hit 11, and right now we're sitting at around 20. Now, obviously, let's talk about, just supply is definitely an issue still. The problem is you're seeing, intentions of people selling when discussed, and like TREB's definitely voiced their opinion about this with concerns, is, the intentions of people listing is continuing to be lower just because of there's a supply issue of just the gap between detached and condos. There's not much properties and inventory for people trying to downsize that don't want to go to condos and prefer either a townhouse or a semi that's going to fit their needs. So it's a problem of, if people sell, where do they go? And TREB's definitely voiced their opinion about this. They really stress it with policymakers that this is a major concern, and this is developers need to be focusing on this moving forward to drive some traffic away from, getting people up to sell their properties. And this is definitely seen. Like I said, there's not much. It all comes down to, like, when you discuss, when developers are looking at projects, the thing is, inventory is the easiest. Like, they cater to investors, right? The 1 to 2 bedrooms is what sells, because who's buying the product? It takes 4 years to build these big buildings. So at the end of the day, the only people that are really buying it are majority of investors that are either going to resell it come completion or rent it out. And obviously for that reason, families, people aren't prepping 3-4 years down the road to move into the buildings, especially when you're talking about family, young families. We don't know sometimes when you're gonna, what the year is gonna be when you're having kids and all that. So there's not much of inventory and choice out there, because developers aren't building 3 bedrooms. Those are the hardest units to sell. That's why there's limited supply of penthouse suites and all that, and they're the last to sell because most investors aren't buying those. And for that reason, it's created this gap in the market, as like TREB's been saying, and like I said, we're talking about right now. Now, when we actually look at the numbers, like at the end of the day, this is an election year, and when they were doing a lot of talking to Torontonians about their major concerns with the election, out of the 9 major points, housing was number 2 for about 25% of the people that they were asking. And obviously, if that's a huge focal point that voters are, kind of watching for, anyone looking to do anything in the market, during uncertainties, what are they going to do? They're going to lay back. They're going to wait to see who gets elected and what is the result and implications of them being elected. So, anytime there's major, influences being changed overhand, like that is going to definitely have a negative impact on real estate, just because it creates uncertainties. So there will be a delay in the market to keep up. So I'm seeing, I'm hoping the next couple months, as the election has finished up here, we see, the market kind of coming back and just moving forward. Although it's been really nice to see the numbers continue to go up, which is good. Even if it slowed down and, virtually the same as last month from, month over month basis, it's still, competitive, and buyers are, seeing some opportunity obviously in the upper scale stuff, but on the low end stuff, and semi-detached and below townhouses and condos, very competitive. So you'll see a price increase on those. Now, dissecting the numbers a little bit more, when we talk about the market, the TREB numbers, like TREB obviously is a huge, like when we're talking about these sales of 7,800, that's all a TREB, which is, goes very north, east, west of Toronto. Now, a lot of people that I obviously talk to, when we're talking specifically Toronto, the market in Toronto is much more, we'll say, strong, because at the end of the day, let's pull up the numbers. When you look at the sales, out of those 7,834, 3,092 came from the 416, Toronto. Active listings is 5,700. Months of inventory 1.9. So like I said, very still on the seller's side. Average price is 861,000. Days on market's lower than 20, which is at 16. Now, something even more interesting is when we break down those sales of what's really going on with those numbers, is detached only sold 782. Semi 242, and then townhouses 303, condos 1,745, which makes up to 56% of actually all the sales that month. So definitely you can see what's going on there. Affordability is driving the Toronto market and the condo market, because you're getting, at the end of the day, people can't afford the detached. Even semi's getting up there where it's quite expensive, right? So, and then obviously townhouses. But what's happening there is people just can't afford it. So what are they doing? They're jumping into the market on due to the fact that they can afford a condo. But it's a weakening market as we go further out into the GTA, and definitely a weakening market on the more expensive side. So what I'm, looking at myself is, I think there's a huge gain that's going to happen in the next, or opportunity that's going to happen in the next couple of years here. So anyone looking to buy and looking to time the market, you definitely want to be paying attention to the detached market, because you're seeing right now already there's huge opportunity in certain price ranges, but you definitely want to keep an eye on that, because although there's a lot of numbers and condos and all that's going up, and you can maybe jump in and hit that little gap of equity, the downturn of the detached market, you will see a tremendous gap that at some point you won't be able to get back into that market again if the market continues to take off, and once the inventory is absorbed. So, in times when the beach is for sale, you buy it, because eventually the beachfront property is not going to be for sale, and you're going to be all the market. So it's something just to keep your eye on. I'm definitely looking at it. But at the end of the day, guys, to wrap up, the new reality is the market that we're in. I feel like going forward, we're going to see a lot of these numbers, hopefully consistently going up. And depending on what you're looking to do, like I said, you got to kind of, when you're looking at numbers, it's great to look at them as a whole, but you got to jump down to specifics. You can do this in neighborhoods on what's going on in, East, West End, North, Mississauga. You can, depending on what you're looking at, you want to, use these numbers as gauges, but then look at your market specifically, because it is night and day. Like I said, when we look at the GTA versus Toronto, well, Toronto is in a much different situation versus the GTA, right? So something to take note of, guys. Like, comment, share. Please like if you do see some value in these. Like I said, it does. I do read all the comments and try to comment on everything. So leave a comment, and we'll catch you on the next one, guys. Go enjoy the weather, man. It's hot out. Finally, feels like summer. Take care.